So today, I would like to talk not about a specific subject, but mostly about how to get hands-on with the code. So we will prepare a game together, TicTacToe. So it's going to be easy, but I'm not sure if I will be able to finish today because we will not do it as usual. So the thing is, like you don't have two screens, so you cannot both see me coding and code at the same time. So this was creating an issue for us, I believe. So we decided to go at least to have more sessions, and this will be a repetition of what you see so far. So I hope you will be able to play as well later on, so that you will get used to it, because this is the most important thing. Then maybe you can because while you start coding, you will realize that you don't know everything so good, even though it makes sense while listening. You don't know how to type things and stuff. So the basic, you can start with pasting code, taking the code samples that we're going to share with you, or just trying. So anyway, let's start. So TicTacToe game. I want to prepare a TicTacToe game with you. So we will start easy. I just created a project, empty project, with changed this to relative layout for now. And I will add everything inside. Normally we wouldn't do it like this way, but you didn't see adapters, recycler views yet. There was a grid layout before. These are the preferred ways to do this. Let's do it. Let's give an ID to our parents view first as a start. What could be the name? Parents view. Okay. So what I would have liked to do is to create a linear layout inside this, which will host like 9 different buttons. So it's going to be a grid view, like Excel sheet. Let's make it like wrap content for now. This is going to be our first row of things. So row, I'm naming it as row 1. Actually, what would be better is to put everything inside a linear layout, and I will show you now what I'm going to do. I will create a parent linear layout first, and I want to give an orientation to this as vertical, let's say. And as you might remember, we told you how to give a weight sum. So weight sum is going to divide the childs of this linear layout into equal portions. So let's copy this one inside. Okay. Okay, so since we have the weight sum, we need to define a weight for this layout. This would be 1. What's the problem here, by the way? Orientation, yes. So we need to have an orientation, obviously, and it would be vertical. So I guess this is it. It says something. Yes, we can use 0 dp here, which I will introduce. Since we are using weights here, the height of this layout that we defined here will be is going to be dynamic. So that's why we are setting 0. The height is not going to be 0. It's going to be dynamically defined. So let's start creating our buttons. Let's say wrap content. This will be our first button. Or let's make it easier, button 1. Okay. So what else we can do? So this is going to be actually this is going to be match parents. This is going to be match parents. Yes. We can also give, for example, Android margin. So it will look separate from each other. Let's make it for DP, okay? So this is our first button. We need to have 3 of those, which I will just copy paste, obviously. And in order to make them the same way, so have the equal portion dynamic width, I will also give a weight sum to this layout. 3DP. And this needs to be horizontal. And this needs to have weight 1. If I will just copy this 3 times, let's say. As you can see, of course, we need to change names here. Okay, as you can see, we have 3 buttons side by side. So, so I don't actually want to copy paste everything all together, but you will see this in the next lesson that we will use adapters and recycler views. This is basically having unlimited or a limited, it could be limited as well, amount of views that are dynamically defined. So it will create like tens of buttons, for example, or hundreds of list items can live inside a view altogether. From the previous lesson, we missed up something, which was like how to use the themes, for example, which I can also show you very easily. For example, let's define a button theme. Sorry. And for example, we can define an item name under it margin. So it was layout margin here. Okay. Sorry. So for example, I define my button theme and I defined layout margin. I can also define other things like text color, for example. Text color. And it could be color white. Okay, color white. These are defined in Android system. So I can just simply, instead of copying pasting everything, like for example having this layout margin and whatever, I can just say Android theme and style. What was my style? I guess it was button theme, right? Yeah. The same way I can, for example, put this weight over there and everything. So for example, here, by the way, I need to define this as 0dp2. So these, as you can see, has for example, I don't need to define the layout margin anymore after setting the theme. Let's make it right. Okay, so we have 3 buttons here. So what's wrong here? We don't have the margin. Check. Theme layout margin. Testing. Let's make, maybe it's not visible. Let's make it bigger. Okay, we will turn back into this. So we created one row. We obviously need to create others. So for example, what we can do, this was the row 1, weight sum. Sorry, this is wrong. We need to weight sum, make the weight sum 1 and layout weight 1. Okay. So we need to copy paste this thing 3 times, unfortunately, which I don't like, but so that we will create our TicTacToe grid. One of them is here. Of course, we need to give them separate names, which I will do it very fast. Okay. And I need to do it again for the third row. So it's not looking aesthetically pleasing, as you can see, but we will fix all of them. I'm just trying to make it very fast now. Okay, so we have basically 3 buttons, 9 buttons in the 3 divided into 3 rows. Obviously, we need to have some other buttons like defining the game and the titles and stuff like that. Let me do it very fast. In layout, it could be match parent, for example. It could be wrap content. We also need to define a weight to this. So if we're gonna give a weight, then I need to define this as 0 and weight 1. Okay, we have some space here right now, so which we inside I can just define a text view, for example, which can be and let's make it, for example, horizontal. Okay, orientation horizontal. I will define a text view which will write who is going to win the game or who is winning the game, the status of the game, basically. Of course, I need to give it a name, ID, game status, okay. And let's write something inside it, for example, Android text, sorry. So game status. Of course, it looks extremely small, so we need to give a text size. And the first class I talk about this actually. So for text size, it's better to use SP. This means scalable pixel, or let's even make it bigger, for example. And I also need a button to maybe reset the game. This could be also wrap content. Wrap content. We need obviously an ID first, Android ID. Name could be sorry, reset button. Of course, it's extremely close to this one. So what can we do? We can put some margin. Or we can obviously use a relative layout or whatever. It's just I'm trying to make it fast for now. So instead of margin, I will define a margin right. So in the right hand side of this status game status text view, there will be like, let's say 50 pixels of emptiness, and this will have a name as text as reset game. Okay, so what we can do to make it prettier is another topic, obviously. Yeah, we can probably use a relative layout here and just make them look meaningful, like that they will be aligned with the lines here and at the back. But we are running out of time. Maybe we need to code a bit, and then we will work with this a bit later. So we define 9 buttons here. We somehow need to go here. Okay, let's me remind you another thing. For example, support action bar, setting a title for the game, which was TicTacToe. So in the top, we will have this thing. So first of all, what we need to define, we need to define a couple of variables first. First of all, would be the first player's name, maybe, or symbol. Let's make it a symbol. Okay, first player will have this symbol. The second player will have the O. Why I defined them outside of the class is because these are constant values, so these are never going to change, and maybe we will like to reach them outside of this class too. So this was one of them. The first thing we need to do is to be able to read all of these buttons so that we will be able to access all of them. So, and we need, we are running out of time, so maybe I can define the, like pretty much the interface of it. So what we need is to have a reset game functionality so that we will start the game. We will fill them later. We need something to fill the buttons. So, for example, how we are going to reach the buttons as like button 1, button 2, button 3, it's a bit cumbersome because we need to, in the TicTacToe game, we need to check all these three of them supposed to be the same. So checking if button 1 is equal to button 5 and it's equal to button 9, and all this condition is a bit troublesome. So what we will do is to use our things that we learn, for example, using a for loop and stuff. I will also show you a double for loop as well. So I will write another method, which is fill views to array, for example. And actually we can basically start doing this. So for that, I need to create an array, basically. I guess we talked about arrays before. So it is going to be an array of, it will be, if we want a double array, basically, so that it will have the both rows and the columns of those as the views, but these are null as beginning, so I'm writing as array of nulls. It will also have 3 as the size. That's one thing, and I also need to define these as button. Of course, we need to include it. Yes, so our board is here. It is empty right now, but we need to fill this board. So what I'm going to do is to, as you know, like for example, with button 1, how to reach this button 1. For example, find view by ID. It will be button, and it would be, what was the name? Button 1. Okay. Button 1. We need to somehow put this into our array. How are we going to do this? It's like board. Sorry, board 0, 0 equals button 1. So we put our first button to this array. I can just copy this 9 times for now, which in the future we will not do it, obviously, and change these names. Okay, so we are actually out of time, unfortunately, but we will continue tomorrow. In the meantime, I will just finish this part. Yes, we need 3 of them, obviously. Okay, 7, 8, and 9. Change those to 7, 8, and 9. So, and we always need to call this method fill views to array. Okay, so what we're gonna do tomorrow is to we will see how to decide on the winning condition. We will see what to do when the user clicks on the button, which you already know. Like we will set a listener to the button, so every user will put their own character inside these buttons. And we also need to write a method as like this reset game as like who win, let's say, who wins the game. We will fill these methods tomorrow, and you will see. Today, I guess you saw how to use an array at least. So this layout takes a lot of time, but you can see that you can put your views inside this array. And tomorrow we will write also a for loop, which is going to be a little bit complicated maybe for you. It will be checking all these fields with an if condition to decide who wins the game. We will also make this layout way better. And that is all from me now. We will continue tomorrow. But if you have any questions, just ask me.